live and hot.
Well,
Hot and live.
hey, first off, thanks for even asking. We actually bumped into each other, and you asked me to come do this, and I had just found out that you were starting it a couple weeks ago, and so now thank you for letting me be here in front of your mic.
I appreciate you coming, man. I mean, you've got such a perspective, and so welcome to the Kelly Brewer Show. I'm Kelly Brewer. I got Robbie Lim's Steptoe with me today.
And from this point on, it's just Robbie.
It's just Robbie, that's right. And I'm going to read y'all a little bit about Robbie. He's a famous broadcaster.
I don't know about that.
Famous around here. 38 years within broadcast media, mostly radio, from production director to program director to an on-air host with TV production, hosting, directing, script writing.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Hang on, there's more.
Oh.
Robbie created Sunday's Kind of Country. Y'all have probably seen that on channel.
Well, we're locally in Southeast Texas. We're on both Tegna. Well, the Tegna stations being Channel 12 and the MyTex channel. Actually, it's at 8 o'clock p.m. too.
It's pretty good. It lifts God up for sure. So you created Sunday Kind of Country and other radio and TV programs. Your radio program is celebrating 29 years in April this year.
April 21st in a couple.
Dude,
yeah.
you have been banging a long time.
It's been a interesting story we may get into here today. So,
well, I hope we do, and I hope it's definitely your experience is going to be something that we learn from.
Well, and you've
been out there, man.
That's funny you would say that. We bump into each other a lot since I got back from Nashville. You know, there's been a handful of times we sit and we talk because you've been in the entertainment business. You know, for how long? Yeah, you were what, 8, 9, 10?
16 when I first started playing the Foxy Lady in Beaumont.
Wow,
16.
You know, and you go through high school, and I've tried to think about this since you asked me to stair step it for any kind of conversation that we're going to have to make sense. I have to go back to, and you know who she is, Adonia Passett.
Yep.
Probably is the one that set me on my path. And our good friend who you've already interviewed, Joe Taylor, you know, he recently did a deal out at Lamar University here in Southeast Texas area. And unfortunately, I was not able to go. But I've seen the video, and then other people have come up to me and told me that when he viewed and watched and observed how Adonia worked with me and made me into that character that she cast me in, we did the Elephant Man in '82. He said it was amazing because I was a jock. I was not of the theater and as much success as Joe has had.
Right.
And wow. I met with her right before I moved to Nashville, and she gave me the clown sad happy face, and she said, "Always have this on your desk," and it's on my studio that we have here.
What does that do? What is that reference?
Well, it's the happy
I know
sad.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's just a theater.
Yeah.
And being a thespian as Joe was
right.
too, but we did Elephant Man. We made it all the way to state, and being an athlete and having some minor accomplishments there. Playing football and tackling and fumbles and 6,000 people screaming at you, yay, yay, yay. You already know this. You've been on stages. We were at State in Austin. 6,000 people give you a standing ovation at the end of the play. There's nothing like that feeling.
Right. All that energy directed at you.
Well, the whole cast.
Sure.
But 6,000 people who you're not going to meet, you're not going to know. Which I reference to now because, Sunday's Kind of Country, radio-wise, we are in 64 radio markets across the country. And it's just been amazing. That whole journey with Sunday's Kind of Country has taken me places I never thought I would go.
Well, sure.
So.
Well, I guess the question is the inner growth.
Yeah.
Right. The program is I want to send out an invitation to folks to grow, and I learned personally, listening to other people's stories, watching them grow myself, And but you've been gone, right? You've
I've
been
left
gone.
a couple times.
Yeah, and so now you're back.
Yeah.
So now I want to learn from you how it changed you. What was the, if you could say it in a sentence, or what was your paradigm? It's hard to do that, I understand.
It is hard to change, and this is something I think about a lot now, more so as we get older. I think that we do think about that a lot, Kelly. And for the longest time, when I first started Sunday's Kind of Country, I did not look at it the way others did. And I think you're aware in some of our other conversations, you're never perceived as you perceive yourself.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
And when we first started the journey with Sunday's Kind of Country, I was doing it locally. I'd been doing it locally here in Southeast Texas, for about 4 years before we actually syndicated the thing. I didn't look at it as a ministry at all. I was playing music because I had a real job too.
More just like a DJ type thing. That's how it started.
That's how it started. And it started also in the implementation of computers into radio, meaning we still had the cart machines. There were various other things, that went on. We had our whole back wall. You got a beautiful blue backdrop here. Was carts.
Right.
They looked like 8-tracks,
Right,
but it was songs. And with computers coming in to where then we could start voice tracking, because at our height locally, I was doing 6 hours live from 6 a.m. to 12 noon.
That's a lot.
And that being the case, it took years, Kelly, before I really realized touching people you're never going to meet thing with songs, music. You've done it before too, same thing, just a different premise with the messages of the songs that we do play inside of Sunday's Kind of Country.
Right.
The journey itself, I mean, you have to, you've heard the deal before. Sometimes you have to leave your market to get the respect you feel like you deserve, whether you deserve it, or not. I know that there were people in my radio life here that worked to hold me back as opposed to let me go. And I can now say that looking into the camera, and y'all know who you are. So, and I don't think it was vindictive. It was jealousy.
Short-sightedness.
Well, yeah. There's a Glenn Campbell song. I play the Brad Paisley version. Try a little kindness.
Yep.
But it makes simple to the simple-minded people, and there's simple-minded towns. And I feel like, and we've talked about this, off camera and knowing all this. We're not the only ones it's happened to.
Right.
There's plenty of other folks out there, and I've met them.
Yeah.
Here, I'm in radio. Then you got to explain it.
Well, you say radio. I mean, you're on the TV, man.
Well, we are on TV too. We're on TV too. I mean, again, this whole ride is a blessing.
Yeah.
Because I can remember the meeting.
Describe the blessing. That's what I want to hear.
That's
the meat.
Okay. I was doing Sunday's Kind of Country, and we had just syndicated it in 95. And long story short, Channel 6. I was doing a lot of work with the CBS affiliate here in town, Channel 6. And Stuart C. Paul was working there. And we were having coffee one morning. I stopped by the TV station. And he says, Robbie, can you get the videos? The songs you play on your radio, can you get the videos? We're looking to maybe add some television, and if you get videos. Well, I looked him right in the eye and said, oh, yeah. Well, I no more knew if I could get them or not. And I started making phone calls. Took about 3 weeks a month. And the people that I met back then, we didn't really start the TV show. It ended up being in 2001, actually. Right. And it was funny. Absolutely. They started sending us stuff, and at that time, that company they produced it for free.
Really?
Yes.
That's
and
a big
again, and as I sit back now and I look today and I watch and I think about all the blessings that have come my way, putting this together. About 10 years ago, well, I moved to Nashville in 2014 because of Sunday's Kind of Country. Here we were doing very well. We were on one TV network and about 30, maybe 28, 30 radio stations, and doing very well. We were able to pay our bills. We were able to do everything. And in May 2015, I moved to Nashville. And then we all know what happened 5 years later, 2020.
COVID.
And it clipped me. Now, in the time I was there in Nashville doing Sunday's Kind of Country, that was all I was doing. I wasn't having to work for anybody else. And yeah.
Sweet. That's a sweet gig.
And I think that's what some of the things, and we'll come back, but I'll fast forward to now. It's frustrating right now because we've already done it once or twice.
Done it.
Made the money, produced the shows, everybody's happy. That's currently not going on as I speak to you today because COVID changed media as a presentation.
So weird. Why would it even do that? I mean, anyway, I can't understand.
People couldn't go out, and people started digging in. Look what happened in the school systems. People started finding out what's being taught in the schools. And you got all kinds of things going on politically and stuff like that. But, the Sunday's Kind of Country journey and putting it all together and has been something that I get a lot more joy out of now, even though there are tough times. I wake up every morning with a fire in my belly and want to go to work and go to the studio and get behind a microphone.
Yep.
In some form.
Right. Well, you told me last night when we were talking that you've never been interviewed.
I haven't.
And so you've not been on that side of the microphone,
Yes,
where
sir.
somebody's asking you questions.
Right.
And so surely you're burning with some message, that you can share. So just listening to you, just endurance, your endurance is a paradigm.
You want a story?
Your faith, I guess, has been a paradigm. We met in church is when I saw you back for the first time. So.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And I think the spiritual journey is something I used to walk. I lived on Pine Forest Drive in Pine Forest, Texas. Went to Pine Forest Baptist Church.
Yep.
And
know right where it is.
And could walk because it was close, in
right there.
7th grade, 8th grade.
You go in the back through the woods.
You could go through the woods if you wanted to. And so there's always been a burning in my belly. Chasing.
Really?
And I
what age would you say roughly that you sort of was aware of God?
I know I got baptized when I was 8.
8.
I went and pulled up the Bible and made sure.
Oh yeah.
and I was 8 when the family got baptized. I got rebaptized years later in my 20s. But that's where the story and the journey began as far as spiritually goes.
Yeah.
I moved to Dallas briefly and found the Lutheran Church, which is Catholic Light.
Yeah.
And Martin Luther left the Catholic Church. He didn't like the people rules
You're
being
right,
applied.
you're right.
And they still hunted him down and beheaded him 30 years later.
Jeez, that was quite a paradigm.
Well, and then I ended up marrying a Catholic and didn't become Catholic till that marriage didn't work. And it's a journey. I think it's a spiritual journey. But the one constant thing that was there the whole time, Kelly, was Sunday's Kind of Country.
Yeah.
And I was able to vicariously pick songs that would touch people.
Because of the journey you were going through.
Right.
What touched you thought would touch somebody else.
I did.
Which is what's happening right here, I'm hoping.
Well, and that's is that a power thing or is it a spiritual thing? And I think
you learned your lesson.
I did.
And so you're trying to help others.
You be in radio for a long time, certain things will callous you. And I'm not the only one that
the
goes.
The business side. Probably.
The business will callous you. And so I know when I moved to Nashville, we were doing some separate things with songwriters. And we were bringing songwriters in. And I met this wonderful friend of mine. We lost him to COVID in 2020, September of 2020, Rick Tiger. He was bringing people in. Every Tuesday night, it was called Tiger Tuesdays. It was on Facebook. And he would bring these young kids in. He was writing with the girls, the guys that were performing down on Broadway.
Right.
And this little girl came in one time, and she did this song, "If Heaven," and I might get emotional now.
I see that.
If heaven's like going home, And me and the guy that's filming it, by the time she hit the second verse, we're crying.
Oh my gosh.
And we got done and we had to stop, stop the thing. And I said, ma'am, you come in here and make me cry. I'm playing that on Sunday's Kind of Country.
There it is.
Yeah.
So it transferred over.
It transferred. It transferred.
What touched you, you wanted to share it with others.
I feel as though, and I miss every now and then. I think we all do.
Well,
But being able to have that opportunity is the humbling part.
well, it's a ministry. It just occurs to me that is your ministry.
And again, as I spoke a moment ago, I didn't feel that way until, when you're coming from Louisiana to Texas or Texas to Louisiana, that big, they just redid it recently, that big, beautiful rest stop.
Yep.
It was probably 2008, 2009. I was actually living briefly in Nacogdoches, Lufkin, Texas. I get an email from a guy. There's a song called "The Call," and it's about a guy who's fixing to kill himself. He's written out the letter and everything, and his buddy calls him. Hey man, how come you hadn't been answering your phone lately? We're going to the lake this weekend, and the ladies that we met a month ago are asking if you're going to be there. Moments before he's going to pull the trigger.
Right.
And he said, man, okay, I'll see you there. Thanks for the call. That song, there was a guy, he described it. And the email is still in my mini storage up in Nashville. But he described the fact how he was just having a real hard time in life. And he was listening to our show, and he pulled over into that particular rest stop. And he heard that song. That's very humbling. And I'm sorry, but it's and when those things happen, I think in my world, in my life, it's a clarification I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Amen. There it is.
Does that make sense?
Yes, perfect. That's exactly.
And now those things seem to multiply a little bit, and they're the only place I've been very blessed everywhere, but financially, and so. But I go back and I'll read the Bible, and not to go off on the religious aspect of it but there's just so much great music, and you can touch people, whether it's rock and roll, whether it's pop, whether it's rap. They've got their people too,
Right.
and music is something that you can touch people with.
Absolutely.
And that's what we've been doing with as far as Sunday's Kind of Country. Before I started Sunday's Kind of Country, we were doing it with regular radio. Radio is a powerful source. I know that it's changed a lot, over the years.
Right.
But so here we are now, and we're back home, and opportunities are abound. Had a wonderful, wonderful time since moving back. And, I had to move back by April of 2020 from Nashville. The whole country was shut down.
It was.
You couldn't Uber. You couldn't go to the grocery store.
Nuts.
You couldn't visit your family in a rest home. Convalescence home.
Bizarre.
It was bizarre, and it changed. Media. People didn't have to leave the house, and Netflix grew hugely. There's just so many stories. There's so many stories here. And it's a lot of fun, and it is. I've met George Strait. There's just a bevy of stars that I would have never met if I wouldn't have been in radio or doing Sunday's Kind of Country.
You got me misting up here.
Well, and
I'm thinking about the how your heart was to share. The gospel in a way here. I mean, you're helping everybody. You're helping the artists. You're helping anybody who produces the artist, the writers. You're helping the TV stations. You're helping anybody that's associated with the videos and the music and the production and whatever, and the advertisers. They get help. They're helped as well.
From your mouth to God's ears, buddy.
And you're helping the people out in the world that are listening. So you're a conduit for good. You've allowed yourself, you suffered, okay? You've suffered like Christ did, to get the message out.
Well,
And if you've saved one life,
and I got an email where we did do that.
well, I mean, you just told me the guy about pulling over in the call. So there's
Yeah.
another one.
Yeah.
Go ahead with that.
And again, about 15 years ago, you know, as you evolve and you learn about yourself in these situations, you know, it's when it started coming to me, Kelly, that we were touching people we may never meet. It's great to go out and meet people, but you know, like I think anybody that's in entertainment of any kind, you know, we get to be behind the microphone and hide, other than here, and people don't necessarily know who you are. Now, when I included the TV stuff, of course, I remember there was a time we were doing a thing called Sunday Dinner, and you know, you'd bump into people, and it was mostly guys. So, man, we love that Sunday Dinner segment that you do. And when we moved to Nashville, we quit doing it, and we're in the process of trying to bring it back again. And but you know, I'm an old radio guy. If you want to do something, you got to get a sponsor for it.
Right.
You know, you're doing this. You got sponsors for what you're doing here with the, you know, your the Kelly Brewer Show. And I think that there's parts of Southeast Texas. Y'all don't get mad at me. But Southeast Texas, you have to over-explain for people to understand. Example, moved to Nashville. You know, you're dealing with the record labels, you're dealing with management, you're dealing with other radio folks. You go to these various showcases or various things. It was mostly country for me. Every now and then there'd be other areas that we could go into and get invited to. But when you would walk into a room full of people that's industry folks, you know, what do you do? I've got a nationally syndicated radio show. I didn't have to say anything else. They knew I could help them. Period.
Right.
Period.
Sold itself.
And I don't want that to come across arrogant, but you know, I mean, that's what people here and where we're currently at in Southeast Texas just don't get.
They don't hear it.
They don't hear it, and it's literally that you
Yeah.
see on the cartoons. And so I sit there and try to explain it, and they still don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, does that make sense,
Well,
Kelly?
they're not in the business, you know. They're not in the business, so how can they know? I guess. I mean, I don't know who you're talking about, but specifically
Businesses that spend money
Yeah.
in advertising.
Yeah.
I think people want to be entertained. You know, people's lives, now more so than anything, Kelly, is tough. Life is tough. Life can be hard. And if we can give them any kind of comfort in any way, video, song, sit down and have a conversation. If you want another relatable story, there was a lady that she was a listener, and she was in Oklahoma, because we're in Oklahoma City. Our largest market's Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And this only been about 6-7 years ago. I mean, I was in Nashville. I remember that. And she texted me. She messaged me on Facebook back then. Well, I just got on Facebook learning all that stuff years ago. And she messaged me. She says, "I just want to message you and thank you." And I said, "Well, thank you, but what are you thanking me for?" And she said, "About 2 months ago, my husband has a construction company. And about 2 months ago, I jumped in the truck with him. I listened to your show, but he didn't. And I turned his radio to the radio station that was playing your show. And he changed it back. He didn't want to hear it. And she said, "No, we need to listen to this." And she said, over the next 2 months, he goes and checks his jobs every Sunday. I started jumping in the truck with him. We would drive around and listen to you. After 2 months, I want you to know we're back in church and all that. And I had to clarify to her, that had nothing to do with me.
Again, you were a conduit.
Yeah. You know, when I'm sometimes in my shorts and my T-shirt and I'm producing that show, whether I'm at the studio or used to be in my house when I first moved back, Kelly, at 11 o'clock on a Thursday on a show that's going to run, not that Sunday, but the next Sunday, and it touches somebody, again, I clarify, nothing to do with me. And everything to do, if I'm a tool and an instrument, yes, but touching somebody at 7:15, 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning 2 weeks later, that means there's divine intervention in my world.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying to. That would be, and that's a great paradigm because you're showing that by being faithful, by walking blindly, almost,
Yeah.
and
I've never looked at it that way, but I understand what you're saying.
yeah, you're walking. I mean, and so your suffering is, a, what is it? Redounding, is that the word? To someone's benefit, and I want to encourage you to keep going.
Well, hey, whether you have to go get another real job or not, I can always do the radio show. The TV show is a little more challenging because production cost and stuff like that. And I'm not here pitching today. I'm just these are the issues and the problems we have.
Right.
And
Well, I asked you. I
did?
asked you about it. So.
yes, sir. Yeah, you know when it's all said and done, I'm gonna make it to 30. We'll be 29 this April. We'll be 30 years old April 2025, and I'm gonna make it there and then reevaluate everything.
Yeah.
But there's other things going on here in Southeast Texas where we're our alma mater is Vider
What about it?
ISD. Well, we started doing sports.
Right. That's broadcasting the football games.
That's tremendously relevant because it's been surreal. I hadn't been out on that field for 30 years until 2 years ago, and when our band, every school in America has their thing,
Right.
but C.R. Smith got to Vider ISD in late '59.
Is that when it was?
Yes, sir.
Holy moly.
And I think it's 60 school year.
Golly.
Within 2 years, Slavonic, various other things that happened. They got into the mid 60s, early 70s when they started the lights out that they still do today.
Yeah.
Traditions that maybe we only have in our hometowns, but those traditions that C.R. Smith started are still going today. And the current band director, Kara Phillips, is doing a fabulous and wonderful job to bring some of that heritage and history back. It got lost a little bit
Are they
sometimes.
still the military marching band?
Yes, sir.
Good. I
Yes,
like
sir.
that. I can't understand the other bands. I don't know what they call it, but where they move sideways in there. I mean, it looks cool and all, but I guess I just got cut my teeth on the military marching band.
We're used
style.
to the military marching band, and the one thing, all the alumni from 60 to this year, 2024, they all got Slavonic in their brains.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember there was a couple of years ago, one of our other classmates, he put on a no matter what year you graduated reunion in Beaumont at the Civic Center. And when they started playing Slavonic, every brigadette and cheerleader, started doing
Right.
the little dances that they
That's
did.
funny.
And it is. I think people get lost. They don't appreciate some of the things that are still around.
Well, the traditions help tie us together in over the time period.
Yeah.
I had a guy here the other day, and he was talking about traditions and how tradition helped him stay focused on his walk. You know, so he's a Catholic-ish. He's Catholic-ish, and they're pretty. But he said those traditions helped remind him of where he's supposed to be, in his heart and in his mind. And it's the same thing with what you're describing. I watched it the other day, the Slavonic. Somebody had put it up of the last, and I want to take my hat off. I don't want to stand up and put my hand over my heart. Dun, dun,
Well,
dun,
again,
dun,
anybody of the alumni that are watching this, when the band, when they're getting ready to wrap up and they go towards the visitor stand and then they make that turn.
Right, and they know
and
it's coming.
And they come marching back in. Your hair on the back of your neck rises.
Right.
And being lucky enough to be up in the press box and doing the games, Kelly, grandparents. We're not calling out names of people we graduated with, and they're the grandparents to these children, to these kids. But it's
everybody in the stand. They stand up.
Well, Vider has always had a following. And the people show up. I mean, this past year we covered a basketball game for the girls. Went over to Silsbee. It was a Saturday afternoon game at 2:00. Something happened during the week, and they didn't get to play it. So we go over there. Vider had twice as many people, and Silsbee was state ranked at the time. Man. And we had twice as many people in our stands than they had in theirs, and we were in Silsbee.
Man.
And it was probably the Saturday game. But we always have that. Back and this is not going to hurt anybody's feelings, but back in the 70s, after halftime, half the crowd would leave.
That's right.
Vider went through. They lost. They lost for 5 years.
Yeah.
They were 0-41 or something like that.
Until the Cardiac Kids, I
But-
remember, in
but-
the 80s.
But the kid, yeah. But the stands were full. Band would march. Half the crowd would leave. That's not happening now. Your Pirates are doing very well. They did real well about 9 or 10 years ago. They made it 3 deep into the playoffs.
Right.
But all the stuff that comes back to you, and when you're up there broadcasting it,
Give me that. So there's a paradigm in that. What is it? What's the shift in your mind? What is the best aspect of seeing it, watching it over such a long period of time, and then what is your conclusion?
well, here's what I know I didn't want to do. In broadcasting the games, we had over this past year, second year, the 23 season, over 61,000 people listened to 11 ball games. That's a little over 5,000 a game.
It's pretty good.
What I didn't want to be was, well, back when I played,
Yeah.
I didn't want to be that. I wanted to highlight. So there were times when something would happen, I would bite my tongue and not say that.
You wanted to talk about it.
But you don't, unless somebody asks.
Oh yeah.
But I do a little substitute teaching up there.
What's the stop there? Stop on that for just a second.
Yes, sir.
So you're talking about a community that rallies around their high school band. I've seen it when I was in school. I watched it when my kids went through school, and I see it every single year that the community rallies around the Vider High School band.
Every year.
What is going on there that keeps that focus, that keeps that faithfulness, that keeps that interest?
Because
What's happening?
when that song is introduced to us, we're innocent.
We're innocent.
We're innocent. We're in high school. We're innocent. And I think it gets into your soul. I think it gets into your mind. I think it gets into your heart.
From an anthem almost.
And everybody wants simplicity at some point in time. And hearing that song, I know to me, I had actually, the year before we started broadcasting, the year before, I covered 3 of the ball games for Sunday's Kind of Country. And being down on that field for the first time, when they did that turn and the Slavonics, dun 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 dun,
Everybody comes together as a one man,
and there was an emotion that comes over you, and it did to me, and even the other, we were up at the games when the band marches, we would just let them listen to the band play.
not talking it.
Not talking or anything in our broadcast on Cajun Country Radio, and I think I know what you're digging for, and so I'll tell you.
Tell me. Take your time.
It's emotional, and I'm sorry, but life is so tough right now, and when you can go back and you can escape back to the times when you were innocent and easy. And I don't think the kids today understand that as much as we did. Or maybe we didn't understand it till we got in our 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
But people love to hear. It's the extension of heritage and history, I think, of what Vider is and what Vider could be.
And has overcome.
Tons.
Vider has overcome many, many obstacles.
It has. And I tell people all the time, to extend away from this me for a minute, how many times have you heard, and I'm sorry I flipped on you real quick, but
Here we go.
you're from, hey, where are you from? Vider. Oh, you're from Vider?
Yeah, I've heard of Vider before.
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, having dinner with some songwriters. And one of them, and they said, one of the other songwriters says, where are you from? I said, well, I'm in Texas. Where at in Texas? I said, Vider, Texas. He said, you're from Vider, Texas?
And you admit it?
And I said, what do you know about Vider, Texas? Because let me tell you, whatever you think you know, you don't.
That's right.
And I think at this point in time, still have a microphone and still have the opportunity to be positive to the world for Vider, Texas. Whether it's high school, whether it's a new business, whether the Kelly Brewer shows
Right here in Vider.
right here in Vider. Some of the things that we're doing at Benoit's Lewis Hall, and he built us. Joe Benoit built us a studio in the back.
Hey.
Joe's been an angel. Wayne Ray was, they have been the angels. The reason that we're still here, and there's others.
Yeah.
But they were a financial situation for us, Kelly, and has helped out so much, and they've been very patient on, because again, COVID changed everything in all of our lives.
Not me though. I'll be honest with you.
It didn't?
No, I being self-employed, right?
True.
I don't have to go in and answer to no boss. I didn't change a thing. Nothing.
Really?
Everybody was fine. Nobody got sick. Everybody was good. Nobody died. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
And it didn't affect me and my business.
And that's you've asked me some things, and I was asking myself if I was going to bring it up. But the last 5 years have been tough. You ever lose a confidant?
Yes.
Well, since 2020, I've
got
lost
divorced. So yes.
Well, the people that you have conversations with, Kelly, that your laundry's not going to show up on the front lawn or on Facebook or anything.
Right.
I've lost 5 in 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah, I lost Rick Tiger. I lost my dad. Lost my sister. I just recently lost another friend that were people that you could go to, you could talk to let it out.
Right.
Therapy.
Safely.
And I'm at a point in my life to where, and it hit me in church about a month ago. Is that God's way to get me to turn to Him more? I'm asking you.
Well, if somebody dies and they go to heaven, God needs them up there more than
Needs
he
them up there,
here.
yeah, right.
He needs them more than we do, apparently,
Yeah.
when they die. So I don't know.
I'll quit trying to ask questions.
No, it's fine. You can ask questions. My thing is, I guess I don't know. I better not even say it, or I'll jinx myself. I was about to say something really stupid.
Well, and
jinx myself.
But seriously, and when I moved home, I went through. I was a Catholic for 9 years. Grew up Baptist. I went through all the things that they do. It's 13 months, once a week you meet, and I learned a lot. I learned how to read the Bible going through all that, because you don't start at Genesis and go to Revelations. You have to skip around. So I learned all that, but when I got back here, I just needed the down home salvation.
Yeah.
And having graduated with Brother Terry Wright over there at First Baptist Church, found it.
There's something here. I'm telling you, I've been around the world and seen some things, and there's something here in this area.
Yes.
That's not in the other areas.
No.
And I can't, I say there's something in the water. We wrote a little song about it, but
Yeah, you did.
I don't know what I can't explain it. But the kid, I just put Fletcher's episode up last night.
Saw that.
And he said the same thing. So he's in Austin, and he's beating and banging and writing songs and beating and banging. He said, man, I need to get home. He came home, and all of a sudden, it opened up. He said, I could finally write again, by being here. And you're describing the same sort of vibe, so.
There's been a lot of things that have opened up, and it is out that we're about to start a country station. And again, Nashville's calling again.
Uh-oh.
They only want us to play
Right.
this. They just, why?
I do.
It has nothing to do with Robbie. It has everything to do with the fact that they want you to play their music. And there's so many outlets that don't play their music.
Oh, yeah.
And look what Kevin has done with Cajun Country Radio in the short time he's been doing that. Like I said, Sunday's Kind of Country, we're about to be 29, we're going to be 30. I really want that to last another year and a half. And then I'll be 62 and evaluate.
Right.
But I think as long as I got a microphone and I can get the computers in a closet if I have to, I'll do it that way. And whether the people around here understand how advertising
Robbie,
works.
we're not going to let you broadcast your last year and a half in a closet.
Thank you.
We're going to find a way.
Oh, thank you.
To help you along.
You got no space up here if I
can
do.
Do it right here if you need to. I got internet service, man, and I got some chickens out there. We can fry some eggs, and if we have to, So wrap it up for me. Give me
What?
Distill for me, if you can. And this is hard to do. This is a challenge. Distill for me. If somebody watching you right now, what would be the one thing that you could share that somebody could hold on to and can grow or avoid the pitfalls that you've been through, if that's even possible?
Well, first off, you have to trust your own heart. And
don't listen to what they're telling you around
do
you.
not listen to what everybody
To the
tells
experts.
You. Well, most experts are people that failed in the aspects of the jobs that they're critiquing.
Preach it.
I'm telling you, when I have a radio guy, and I'd been doing Sunday's Kind of Country for 20 something years. We're 29 now, so it was about 7-8 years ago. Well, you need to do this, and you need to do that, and he'd listen to 2 shows. Blah, 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 blah. And I said, we've been okay without those kind of changes.
Yeah.
And and so why do you feel as though I need to change that? Well, blah, 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 blah. He didn't know what he was talking about.
Well, maybe that's the old devil sneaking in, trying to get you off track.
Well, Burt Reynolds or Clint Eastwood, they were all told they couldn't act.
Right.
They couldn't do anything. Randy Travis got turned down by 5 record labels before he circled back around and then got a record deal.
You have to get 100 no's
Yeah.
before you get a yes.
Guy, I
distill it. Give me a.
I know that our story's not over, and I know that we are, plowing ahead. I think that we have a voice, having a microphone to talk on. Do it for good.
For good. There it is.
Do it for good. I really think, Orange County itself, Vidor particularly, doesn't always get really represented well in media, and we're trying to change that. I know I've been trying to change it for a while. I mean, it's been unexplained of sorts. But I get tired of the Vidors. I get tired of the, you mean you admit it, like you stated. Yeah. Kelly, I feel as though that God has placed me here with an opportunity to help changing the image. And yes, it's coming full circle. It's come from being here in high school. I think we all develop in high school of the person that we're going to be, and there's people out there that poke in, and you take heed, and then there's those that you don't take heed to because they're just probably, you can't say certain words anymore, so I always say non-smart right now. So you got to just follow your heart. You got to do what you got to do, and get up every day with a fire in your belly, and tell your story, and you're going to find people that will eventually understand it.
And will benefit from it.
I think so.
That's what I'm trying to do here is help me help you, kind of a thing. If you come in, so you have helped me by coming in, sharing your perspective, and then hopefully it goes out.
Well,
and somebody can learn something from it.
I told you last night I'm going to say I want to talk about some things that I don't usually talk about. One was early on in this broadcast. Y'all can go back. I had radio people in this town that held me back, and it was pure jealousy.
Yeah.
And I was yip yo and just trying to work. And
Yes.
when you,
yeah, I'm trying to do good. Why are you in here just trying to jack with?
Why are you building a,
Hey, do this. We're gonna wrap right here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Give me a phone number that people can call you if they want to get in touch about your show or advertising with you, or what is the best way to get in touch with you?
SKOC, which is Sunday's Kind of Country
Gotcha,
abbreviated.
yeah.
SKOC Mornings, all together.
Gotcha.
With an S.
At AOL.
At AOL.com, and I appreciate the opportunity for that. We're not looking to get rich. We just want to pay for the productions and the TV shows. Again, it's separate.
Keep the message going.
Yes, sir. Keep the message going. I've got 19 new videos, and I hadn't been able to produce a TV show and get those videos out yet. And I'm wanting to. I'm going to start putting them on the Facebook page. Sunday's Kind of Country Radio and TV is the Facebook page. You can message us there as well. Thanks for letting me do that. A lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff there.
I agree.
We've recently been invited to Nashville. Can't go, but recently invited to Nashville, and you're starting to make a difference when they offer to pay for your hotel and feed you for 3 days.
Uh-oh. There it is.
But there's other things going on. Hey, listen, man.
Good job. Well done.
Kelly, thank you for the time.
Thank you for coming and sharing. And Robbie Lynn Steptoe, ladies and gentlemen, Sunday's Kind of Country. Catch him.
If I talk too much, I apologize.
You talked perfectly. You did it perfectly. You're a trained speaker, and you've touched me and moved me today. So I appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen.